thing that you need to look at is your skills and endorsements. Add those skills that highlight your competencies, expertise or knowledge. Use those that you want to be known for. This is very strategic positioning. So if you've always been an accountant, but now you want to actually explore sustainability, you'd rather move into competitive intelligence, then start putting in those keywords within your skills. And obviously, if you have them, if you've studied them, if you have started working on that knowledge, if you have started joining those groups, then you can add those in. And ensure that you put the top 5 at the top. Because what happens is, when other people open up your profile, they're asked to endorse you for certain skills. The ones that you are endorsed for the most are usually the ones that pop up at the top, and people that don't know how the system works usually just agree or tick all of those. So make sure that the ones that you really want people to know you for are the ones at the top. So if you're an accountant but you actually want to be known for your tax and risk management, those are the skills you need to have at the top. And also remove those that are irrelevant. So if there are ones that people start endorsing you for Microsoft Office skills, in this day and age, if you don't have that, you should not be a professional. So those are not relevant to your career progression. It could be also that you initially were looking at certain skills, later on started finding the correct skills, but they're very similar. So take out the ones that are too similar, have the ones that are most relevant to your current work experience and what you're skilled at. Encourage others to endorse you by endorsing them. So if you do open up somebody else's profile, it's called that whole reciprocal method, and make sure that you also endorse them, but endorse them for skills that you do know that they have. Don't just endorse them for anything or think, oh, that's popping up, so they must have it. Make sure that you only endorse those. So if there's only one skill that you do realize that they have, that they do well, that's what you endorse them for. The more skills that are endorsed by your connections, the more it's going to show a trend for your strengths and your competencies at work. And those are the ones that you actually want recruiters to be able to see. You want them to be able to pull them up and see what you're about. It gives an overall picture of who you are and what you're capable of. And so those endorsements are quite critical. You can increase your endorsements by sending a personal message through LinkedIn, so to your connections, but use your well-known connections. Those people that know you the best and know your work style, know what you're good at, and ask them. You can actually tell them, please endorse me for these top 5 skills. And you'll be able to see that those are the ones that then pop up quite strongly. Now, recommendations, as I mentioned earlier, they have a certain perception value. So when you request recommendations, make sure that you request them from people that know you well. Same as with your skills endorsements. Make sure these are people that know your work style and your competencies. And then get a variety. So get people that work for you, get your peers to endorse you, but also, if you can, get management to endorse you. And again, this is not a social thing, so rather look at your recent jobs and your classmates, because they will know how you worked and how you did teamwork. You can manage your responses. You can actually go in and check those responses, and when you update them, make sure that you're listing the most recent ones. It's good to do sort of every 6 months, get another endorsement and rather put that one in. Or if you don't have that much time, make sure that you've got 3 or 4 good recommendations that showcase your recent jobs. And then also reciprocate and recommend others. You'll see you can recommend people, or you can request recommendations. And it's good to reciprocate. But be positive if you do recommend somebody. You need to be objective. So this is not a personal, almost vendetta, or this is not a personal gushing session. You need to be able to state the facts. This person is very efficient, very task orientated, works well in a team, and I would recommend them for any position within the FMCG industry. So there is a tiny hint of personal to it, but it needs to be the majority needs to be objective. This section is called accomplishments. These are not vital to your profile. It's good to have it if you do have any of these. However, if you've done all the previous for your profile, that should be enough to attract attention. These accomplishments are if you have, for example, publications or patents. You need to choose those that are relevant for your future career journey. So if you do have certifications, it's usually because you belong to a professional body. So if you are a CA and you have those and you belong to those, that's where you put them in. You'll find that your profile is viewed 5 times more if you have any of these listed. If you're posting anything about publications, make sure that these are your academic or your professional publications. This is not the novel that you wrote in high school. So be careful what you put down as you're publishing, because people again will go and search and look for that publication and be able to verify and read that. It gives the overall idea of where your profession lies and where your skills are. If you do have patents, obviously, depending on proprietary information, be very careful about what information you put onto this platform. However, if you do put anything on, it will showcase your innovation and your expertise. And that's one of the reasons that they put this here. The project should only relate if it's directly to a large project that people can actually view or that people can actually see. This is not a small in-house project. This is something that showcases your achievement. So if it was a project where you built a particular commercial building, that would be a project that you worked on. So it's not something that would happen anyway within your business. This needs to be something special. I mentioned about the cautious about if it's relevant in-house training or short courses, this is a better place to put it. If you have honors and awards, if you're focusing on South Africa, it's not always seen as something that's usable. However, if you do have something that showcases your leadership or your management skills, say for example you got the President's Award for a particular project that was completed, that would be an honor and award that you would put under here. If it was merely getting, a certificate for being present at, all the last year, that is not relevant. If it was being captain of your swim team in high school, that's way too long ago as well. Keep the stuff that is relevant to your current and future business journey. Languages. If you want to work internationally or you want to work for an international company, then add your languages. If you have a particular set of languages, for example, you can speak more than just 2 languages, that would be a worthwhile way to put this in here. Put those that you can speak or that you can read and write. Now, there's a section there for test scores, but preferably don't put those in. That is usually used for more American companies, or within America, usually the graduates put in their test scores to show their accomplishments. Again, in the South African environment or the more SADC environment, it is not really relevant. So it's not necessary. The last section there is organizations. This is more your volunteer or your community work, but put in, again, if it shows your leadership skills. If, for example, you are the director of the local charity initiative, that would be something that you can put in there. But if you're just a member of the church choir, it might not count as much. In your written CV, that's where you can put your hobbies and interests to give a fuller picture of who you are. But on LinkedIn, this is very much more the professional and management side of things. Endorsements. Now, your skills and endorsements actually fall past the volunteer, and I'm going to skip that, but let's go to your endorsements. What you'll see here is the top 3. That's what's visible on the profile. If you had to open up somebody else's profile, you'd have to go and search for that person. I'm going to choose a friend of mine, and I'm sure he's not going to mind. So I can click on here. Okay. Okay, and it tells you quite a bit about him. Okay, he's in France at the moment. Well, France and England. It gives you quite a lot about him. And when it comes to his skills, do you see? It only shows those top 3 skills. It shows you also, you know, who's endorsed it. It gives you a little bit of information about where it was, in which companies or which industries. It gives you a good view. He's very strong on business strategy, and business development. If you wanted to, you could go and look at more, and then you can see. So that lies at 87 people that have endorsed him. But he's also good at management, at change management, leadership, CRM, strategic partnership, and so it goes down. So usually you would look at the top amounts that that person has been endorsed for. If you wanted to, I know he's good at business strategy, so I would endorse him for that. Sorry. But business strategy and strategy, it's very close to each other. So what is his better skill? And I know that when it comes to him, business development is one of his strongest skills. So I'm going to endorse him for that. Okay. I also know that he's very strong on the business-to-business leads. But I don't know if that's what he wants to be recognized for. So I would need to either ask him or communicate with him what else would he like to be endorsed for. But I definitely know that those 2 is something that I would endorse him for. Right, let's go back to my profile. So I'm going to go back to editing there. I'm going to go all the way down to the skills and endorsements. And you'll see that the more that you get endorsed for a particular skill, the more it pops up. There are so many in here. At some stage, I actually need to go and remove some that are not useful anymore. If you wanted to, you can go and manage those skills and endorsements, and you can adjust them. So you can actually say, yes, I want to be endorsed, or include me in the endorsement suggestions of my connections, or show me suggestions to endorse my connections. If you wanted to change the, you can add a skill, or you can now edit it, which means that if you want to, you can reorder these. So if I did not want strategy at the top, or business strategy, or management, but rather wanted entrepreneurship at the top, I could move that to the top. Okay. So I would move that one just one more, move it above management. And what should happen now, if we save that, is that, do you see now entrepreneurship pops up? So what do you think people are going to endorse you for if they see those 3? They're going to rather go for those 3 than they're going to go for, or open it up and click one extra to get to them. That's the reason you need to make sure that you have the right skills at the top. Recommendations. Let's have a look at those. You'll see recommendations are below your endorsements, and here you can ask to be recommended. And you can have a look at managing your recommendations. So you can show it, or you can ask for a revision. If you're not happy, or if they've said something that is incorrect about what it is that you do, ask them to rewrite it for you. Or you can actually take it off. If you slide it off, sorry, there we go. It'll hide that. In this case, I don't mind it being up. Although it's time for me to get a new one. It's time for me to now ask somebody who knows what I've been doing. You can have a look. You'll see some of them are a little bit older. So should I move them? Should I change them? That's what I need to decide. You'll see that the latest two pop up on your profile. So if somebody is looking at you, that's what they'll have a look at. All right. The accomplishments is part of this added section. If you look at the accomplishments here, so now you can actually add a particular one. You can add your courses, you can add your projects if need be, you can add your honours and awards, or your test scores.